Well, thank you. It is a special day. It's a great honor to become an honorary Spartan today, which many people didn't think would ever happen in my lifetime. So it's great to be here. And first of all, I want to also say congratulations to all the graduates, to all the parents, to all the family and friends. You've worked hard, and this is a special day for you. So I really want to say congratulations. The other thing I want to say, though, is you're graduating from a special place. This is a world-class asset that every Michigander should be proud of. And there's so many things. Being a good nerd, I tried to do my research on why people should be excited to be a Spartan so much. And I narrowed it down to just 3 simple things. First of all, the Michigan State University is one of the top 50 research universities in the world. It is changing the world, and you should be proud of that. But more than that, it's about your great education, and it's impressive to see Michigan State is one of the top 50 best values in public universities in our country. So what you're receiving today has special note and merit because it is a challenge to get a college education today that we need to continue to work on, but you're getting a degree from the best today. And finally, one that really stood out, that every Spartan should know this fact, and you should share this fact with everyone you know, that Michigan State University has been designated as one of the top 100 universities in the world for 10 years running. That's something special if you look at the entire world. That you should be proud of that and share that with everyone you know. Now, when one gives a commencement speech, you have a couple options. You can talk about public policy or you can talk to graduates. Believe me, I've talked enough about public policy this week. And my preference is always to talk to the graduates because your future is important to all of us. So what I plan on doing is I'm going to share some simple guiding principles that have made a difference in my life, and I hope they can make a difference in yours because we can all learn from one another as we progress through life. The first principle is build on your passions. In terms of looking at careers you find something you love that really means something to you, that gets you excited. You don't want a career where you're simply going through the motions of saying, I have to go to work each day. The greatest success in life comes from something you really enjoy. What gets you passionate? What gets you excited? In my case, it was solving problems, taking complex situations, making them simple, and solving problems. And I can tell you it makes a difference in terms of how you approach and how you succeed. The next part is build a vision for your career. Don't be passive about it. And this is something that takes time. Some of you may have had a clear idea of what you want to do for your career going back to when you were in elementary school, middle school, or junior high, or high school. Many of you may still be looking for what your career is, what your vision is. After I graduated from undergrad, I actually went to law school. And it was interesting. When I went to law school, I talked to my fellow law school members, and I learned one of the biggest reasons, the biggest single reason many students went to law school is they didn't know what they wanted to do. It was about a third. They were still looking for their vision, but they found it eventually. So build a vision for a bright future. My vision was to actually have 3 careers. The first career I wanted was to actually work in the private sector for 2 reasons. One is most people actually have jobs in the private sector. And the second one is I wanted to say I could financially build a base to have a great family. And I could take care of that family and be successful. My second career, though, was to do public service. Sometime in my 40s or 50s to say I can set aside my private sector career and go serve the public. And believe it or not, it wasn't about running for office, but simply to go do community service, public service in some fashion. And say, my role is to try to help people. I actually have a third career that I'm aspiring to. When I'm done with a career in the public sector, I aspire to have a career in education, to actually go become a professor or a teacher, to have an opportunity to share thoughts with young people and what I've learned during my career. That was a vision I built back when I was an undergraduate. So again, I encourage you to come up with what your vision is in terms of a career, and then have the flexibility to find the right opportunities to be successful. One point that I'm going to share for the third principle is something that too often we don't do well. whether you're getting out of school or in life, is it's a concept of manage risk. Don't avoid it. And what do I mean by that? Quite often you'll be faced with a decision in life, and you'll essentially step back and say, well, I'm not going to decide. That's not managing risk. That's avoiding risk, and it's a mistake. Because when you decide you're not going to decide, what you don't recognize is you've made a decision. And you've made a decision where you're not going to be in charge of your own fate. You're going to be passive rather than active. And one of the challenges in life, particularly when you're a young person, is take some risk. Don't take reckless risks, but take risks that you can learn and grow and expand your horizons from. So manage risk, don't avoid it. The fourth one is a simple one that I learned on my first job. Treat everyone as your customer. Every single person you interface with should be treated just as if you were in a business and you had a customer. And why do I use that analogy? Because most of us know if you have a customer, you go out of your way to do special things, to treat them the best way you can, because you want them to have a good impression that they were treated right, with respect. Well, there are too many people in this world that treat other people not as a customer. The most common case you'll find is when someone's in a workplace and they actually have people working for them, and they treat them with disrespect. So I've always followed the philosophy that every person I interact with is my customer. And how do I give them the best service possible? How do you treat people the right way? Because you'll get it back in kind, and the world will be a better place. Now, the last two I'm going to sort of combine. The first one, number 5, is to seek out and learn from mentors. And the sixth principle is don't disconnect from friends and family. Stay in touch with your friends and family and embrace them. And why did I combine these two is because both these principles came about when I finished school, when I went for my first job. I got out of school in 1982. And Michigan was in extremely difficult economic times. Unemployment was about 14 to 15%. They were actually bringing truckloads of the Houston Post up to Detroit and selling the Sunday paper, not for the news in the paper, but for the want ads. People were flocking to Texas. I had 2 job choices. I had the opportunity to go to work in Texas, in Houston, for what was the most exciting company in the world at the time. And they offered me a great job, and they promised me a great career. My other job offer was to go to work in Detroit as an accountant. And if you look at the 2 choices, most people have said, well, you should have followed the path to the exciting spot in Texas. The other part I'll tell you is that position offered 30% more money. I turned it down. I made a decision to become an accountant in Detroit. And many of you will say, well, that's easy. You just came back home. Well, I didn't just come back home. I'm from a small house in Battle Creek. I knew no one in Detroit. I knew 2 people in the entire metro area. And it was to take a job in an extremely depressed area. But why did I do that? One, it gave me that connection to stay connected with friends and family. The second one, though, it was the people in the firm. They said they would mentor my career. They would help give me guidance on the right things to do, and they kept their word. And when you hear about my background, I was very fortunate. I moved very quickly in my career because of mentors. So one of the most important things I still use today is I look for mentors even in my life today. And then the second piece I try to do is I try to be a mentor to others. But the interesting part is, and we should never forget this, if you're successful enough to be a mentor to someone else, always have an open mind to recognize you can learn something from the person you're mentoring, that mentee. There's no exclusiveness on good thoughts and ideas, and we can all learn from one another, and I encourage you to do that. Following these 6 principles make things relatively simple. I've used them as guides in my life, and they've been of great help. And I encourage you to say, you like some of them, you don't like some of them, but come up with your own principles as how you're going to guide your career. It will make a fundamental difference in your path to success. And I know you'll be successful. The last thing I would like to talk about briefly is something that I think everyone here can agree on. I know there are some people here that don't agree with me today, But this is one topic I'm sure we'll all agree, and that's we would like you to stay. We'd like to keep you in Michigan because you're our future. You're our best and brightest. And the thing is our responsibility is to make it an attractive thing for you want to be here. And there are two key things we need to stay focused on. Making sure you have a job opportunity, and not just a job, but a career. So we're going to continue to focus on more and better jobs because we want you to have those opportunities. As I said back in 1982, many of my peers, many of my friends had no option but to leave the state because they didn't have a job opportunity. The second thing is having great quality of life. And that's something that we're very fortunate in this state, that we should be so proud of, that we have a wide range of options for great quality of life. And it's represented by not just the flags of the other countries here, but if we went around and talked to the graduates and asked you what parts of Michigan you came from, we have exciting opportunities from places like the center of the city of Detroit, Midtown, downtown. It's one of the most exciting places in the country, to saying there are great places on the Great Lakes or in the rural areas of Michigan where you can have a quality of life that you appreciate, that you were raised with, that you'd like to have the opportunity for your children to have. So please stay, and please let us know what we can do to keep you here, because you are our future and it's exciting. Well, it's a great honor to be with you today. It is an exciting day for me to actually say, go green. And thank you very much.